It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supplies. Here's tonight's Speed 77 Radio Race Chaser Online crew chief, Tom Baker.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to another couple of hours of motorsports conversation here on the Performance Motorsports Network. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. I am the aforementioned Tom Baker, and I am also surrounded by a cast of characters from our Race Chaser Online and Speed 77 radio staff. First of all, to my left, the co-producer and co-director and managing editor of Speed 77 Radio and Race Chaser Online, Jacob Seelman. Jacob, how's it?
Well, for starters, that's a pretty big word for you to open the show with, Tom. Aforementioned. I'm proud of you. You went and bought a dictionary like I suggested to you, 8 months ago.
I stayed up really late last night trying to pick that word out, I'll have you know.
Well, it's great to be here this evening. I'm excited. It's cold outside, which is why I'm holed up in the heat where it's warm, and it's going to be fun. There's a lot going on, and I have two guys to the right of you that I know are going to be really interested to weigh in tonight, Tom. But I'm fired up. You know why I'm fired up?
Why?
Well, it's honestly almost a contradiction. I'm fired up because, in the words of Motorsport.com contributor Nick DeGroot, hell is officially frozen over. and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because you take your thermometer and you stick it in the ground and you look at this and we see icicles. Why? Because rivals shouldn't ever get along. It's like the Hatfields marrying the McCoys. This is the biggest announcement in short track stock car racing that I've seen in the past 15 years. Frank Kimmel and Billy Venturini are teaming up. What has the world come to?
And thank you, Tony Stevens, for giving Jacob that perfect opening line. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And not only that, but John Force is going to be racing a bow tie. What in the world?
Hey, John Force, at least John Force started out his career in a Chevy. That I expected. Kimmel to Venturini? Really? What?
Yeah, it is an interesting situation for Frank, and it's just as interesting for Brandon Jones, his teammate, and I think understanding the situation now, knowing now that Brandon Jones is teaming with Frank Kimmel and that Frank's only running a limited schedule, now this makes more sense because obviously Menards wanted Brandon Jones to have a number of races in the ARCA series, and if you're going to put someone in the ARCA series, who are you going to put them with? You're going to put them with Venturini Motorsports if you can. Why? Because it really is the best team in the sport. At least, it seems to be that way. And, Frank Kimmel going over there, obviously from a rivalry standpoint, it seems a little strange. But if you think about it in terms of him mentoring Brandon Jones along with the Venturinis, Brandon has got himself a power trio of people who know what they're doing. And he's now surrounded by a cast of characters that can teach him how to do this. And I think it's the perfect situation for everybody because obviously it will be great equipment for Frank to be in as well. And, if this is to be his swan song, well, there could have been no better shocker than for him to go out like this.
Yeah, exactly. And you know why I've speculated all day that it might be his swan song? I'll turn to your right and look at Kyle Magda. Kyle, you look at the numbers. You're a numbers guy just like I am. Frank Kimmel, coming into this season, has made 490 career ARCA starts. They're putting him in for half the schedule this year. That would be a whopping 10 races. 490 and 10, by my math, makes 500 ARCA starts. No, not only is that most all time, but that 500th start in Frank's last race of the year comes at a track where he's obliterated everybody over the past 2 decades, Salem Speedway. If that's the real swan song, if I'm Frank Kimmel, I'm thinking, heck yes, I get to go out in front of the hometown fans at my best statistical track in my 500th start. Now, the only better scenario they could paint for that is if he goes and wins the race.
Yeah, not a bad way to go out with your career with a bang. And good evening, everybody. Actually, Jacob, when Frank Kimmel won the championship in 2013, I thought him winning his 10th championship, winning his 80th race at Kansas, I thought at that point he would retire and just be on top. But that wasn't the case. But yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about that, Jacob. That's a great thing. But like you said, he'll mentor Brandon Jones a lot. And I was looking at the schedules today. I think for Frank, he'll be in Daytona looking for his first ever win. I know he's finished runner-up a few times, and then
a few,
right? He'll be at both Pocono, Chicagoland, Michigan, and like you said, Falls Salem, just to name a few. And then Brandon Jones. Both of them will be at the Daytona test on Friday, actually tomorrow. So
I was going to say tomorrow is Friday.
I know, and it'll be good experience for Brandon Jones because he's not 18 yet, so he can't run the ARCA race at Daytona, but he will be 18 when the series goes to Talladega in May, and he will run that race. So that'll be some good experience for him. And like you said, Tom, about the whole Menards thing, this kind of reminds me of when Matt Crafton was running those, at the time, nationwide series cars for Richard Childress Racing, even though he was in a Toyota for ThorSport Racing in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, and of course running for RCR in the nationwide series, and those couple of starts for Matt Crafton. So I kind of see that with the whole deal. Of course, I think the deal for ARCA and Venturini Motorsports is 15 races with Ansel Menards co-sponsoring. So that should be an interesting combination for sure.
Thank you, Magda. My point exactly.
And, of course, joining us on the program tonight as well is the third member of our Race Chaser Speed 77 radio staff, Marshall Gabel. Marshall's followed the ARCA series quite heavily and has watched Frank win bunches and bunches of races, and also the slump that Frank has been in on and off over the last few years. Now going to Venturini, what's your 2 cents on this, Marshall?
Well, I want to take a different look at this, and I know why you guys are focusing strongly on Venturini and Frank. There's another thing that this is going to really benefit, and that's the program over at Mason Mitchell Motorsports for Austin Wayne Self. Austin now, after his rookie season, finishing second at Talladega, pushing Tom Hessert to the win. Austin now has a great opportunity with Frank Kimmel not running full-time and a couple other drivers dropping off or moving up to different series. Austin Self has a great chance to go out and win this championship this season. I think all of us can agree on that.
I can agree on that, and I'll throw one more wrench into that theory, Marshall, because I got some information it's not totally confirmed yet, but it sounds like it's pretty well close to done that Grant Enfinger will be back in the ARCA series for 2015 with GMS horsepower underneath him driving for the Gallagher team. There's your other championship contender right there. We saw how close he came against Mason Mitchell in 2014. Kyle Magda, I think we're about to see the same titanic fight for 2015, just with a different driver behind the wheel of that 98 car.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. And one other driver I want to bring up, and he did win a couple times, like Marshall said, at Talladega, Tom Hessert as well. I'd expect him to be back in that car full time, but I haven't heard much about Cunningham Motorsports lately. Don't know if they're going to be running 2 cars this year or anything, but you could see Tom Hessert running the full schedule again as well.
Another interesting, as we go back to ARCA testing, another thing that I found to be kind of interesting is that Ryan Hebner, one of the local late model drivers here, is going to be testing as well down in Daytona this week. And he's going to be testing for Rue Motorsports. And Michael Lira also has picked up a driver to do some testing. Jacob, you're gonna have to help me out with this because I'm drawing a blank who the driver is. But
how are you driving How are you drawing a blank on this? If I say the word holla, you would know. Kaz would smack you.
Kaz Gralla. Well, I left my notes upstairs in the office, so I actually did. I did.
Shame on you.
I have to go get them during the break. But so there's a couple of more drivers who I don't know how much they're actually going to race, but there's a couple of more young guys that certainly could be contenders down the line, Marshall.
Yeah, and just referencing back to Kyle's point, Tom Hessert would be another driver to throw in that monkey wrench for the championship. But again, according to Hessert in the interview that I did with him, he's only going to be running the first 4 races until, sponsorship can pick up some for Cunningham. We also know that Blake Jones will be running Austin Wayne Self's formerly number 22 at Daytona. So Cunningham's still working out the details. That's just another top team that other drivers like Austin Wayne Self and Grant Enfinger won't have to defend full time for a championship this season.
Yeah, and I was looking at the ARCA Daytona test list, guys, and Jacob, I was telling you about this. Daniel Hemrick going to be testing an ARCA car for NTS Motorsports, the number 92. And NTS has not run an ARCA race since Pocono in August 2013 with Brendan Newberry, so that's some interesting names to come up. And when I was looking as well as, we're talking about Lear Motorsports, Austin Theriault as well, testing for them. Looked like he's on the entry list in the number 59 car, so that'll be interesting. And like,
I didn't see that.
And you also Austin Hill is going to be testing for Empire Racing in the 82 car, as it says on the entry list. So and also Patrick Staropoli will be back in the 8 for Empire Racing, one of the fastest cars.
Yes, he was
testing back in December. So I don't know what his plans are yet, but he could be a dark horse if he winds up running the race. So there's a lot of great names out there, and also the Ruler brothers will be back as well, Buster Graham as well.
Yeah, I was talking to their second driver out of the Rouleau stable, Kyle Weatherman. We're actually going to have him on a little later. He's on his way down to Daytona and was talking with Buster. They're excited about this test, want to see what can happen. There's just so many storylines coming out of this. It's a whole new world in the ARCA Racing Series for 2015, and it's one of the major storylines this show is going to be following all the way through Daytona and throughout the rest of the season. But we'll continue it more here in a couple of minutes. We're actually going to shift gears and talk a little Chili Bowl in just a minute, because Lenny Baticki's joining us from Tulsa, Oklahoma. The PRN at the Track host, going to catch us up on everything that's going on in the River Spirit Expo Center. That comes up in just a moment, but first, this business on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Hi, this is Jens Scott from Summit Point Kart in Summit Point, West Virginia. If you're looking for a real racing experience on a real racetrack, come out to Summit Point Kart this weekend. For as little as $25, you can get your racing career started. New this year, Summit Point Kart offers the RX 250, capable of over 75 miles an hour. We're open every Friday from 5 p.m. till 9 p.m., Saturday from noon till 10 p.m., and Sunday from noon till 9 p.m. For more information, go to our website, summitpointkartwithak.com, or you can call us at 304-725-5270. Summit Point Kart, your East Coast karting center.
In the race of everyday life, it's nice to have the green flag, but drivetrain problems are the pits. A fully remanufactured engine, transmission, or differential from Jasper Engines and Transmissions costs less than a new vehicle and comes with a 3-year, 100,000-mile nationwide transferable warranty. See JasperEngines.com for details and get the green flag in your race of everyday life.
See the boys at Chandler & Sons Automotive, 45977 Old Ox Road in Sterling. Give them a call, 703-437-7300.
Ever hire, never quit. Lofty goals in this age of shoddy quality, corporate indifference, and built-in obsolescence. It's a beacon of light in a crowded field of mediocrity. The way a company is run is an indication of how you, the customer, is going to be treated. You have a lot of choices when you're searching for auto and performance parts online and at the corner parts store. So why should you buy from Excelsior Racing? Because they're simply the best online parts supplier in the business. If you're looking for selection, ease of ordering, cost, and prompt delivery, look no further. If you have a question, our customer service hotline, staffed by knowledgeable gearheads like you, will ensure that you get what you need to fix or mod your car or truck. With 1,000 suppliers, you're guaranteed to get what you need. First time, every time. Excelsior Racing. Excellence on the track. Excellence on the road. Excellence in customer service. Online at excelsiorracing.com or call 502-909-2034.
All I wanted to do was just pick up a guitar and sing praise songs.
From IamSecond.com.
Well, when I got to 17, I was playing in after-hours bars, just in a bunch of trouble.
Grammy Award winner Michael W. Smith.
Smoking that first joint and feeling so guilty about it. From there, it was LSD, and your compass sort of just like disappeared. I knew where I belonged. I just couldn't get out. I was very depressed. I went on the floor and just began to shake. And I was just weeping. I was weeping. And I just began to just cry out for God. 12:30 at night, on the linoleum floor of my kitchen, the God of the universe came and wept with me on that floor. I know where my hope lies. It's not being a rock star. I'm a son of the High King of the universe.
Watch Michael's story at IamSecond.com.
Time for more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on PMN. Here's a man who's in great shape. Well, round-ish shape. Give it up for Tom Baker.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on PMN. Tom Baker along with Kyle Magda, Marshall Gabel, and Jacob Seelman.
Hey, why am I
still
last?
behind the glass? Because I'm coming to you first, Jacob. It's time to bring in our first guest of the evening. And you know what? We picked a great guy to start with. Just ask him.
Yeah. Every time I ask him, he looks at me and smiles, which is always scary.
Lenny Baticki, what's up at the Chili Bowl, man?
Wow. Well, Christopher Bell has been running strong. Just got second. It is his heat race. I had to leave the building. It was too loud. I was watching Kenny Wallace try to hang on to the top four spot in his race. This place is amazing. I tell you, the feeling of the World Finals, the feeling when that flyover happens with the Coca-Cola 600, the hair standing up at the back of your neck, you get that all the time here. It's amazing.
It's wonderful, Lenny. And yeah, I'm a little afraid. You said you found Kenny Wallace. How much trouble has he gotten into already this week?
Well, Kenny has been doing his best to be the social media maven that he is, and actually still racing hard. You know, he ran over 70 events last year on dirt in that modified, winning a bunch of them. He's a true dirt racer, but this is a different kind of dirt machine and a whole different kind of race. So he's in probably over his head, but he's swimming as hard as he can to stay with as many as he can right now, and I got to give him credit for that. I've already seen guys from NHRA here, you know, that are getting ready for 4-wide at CMAX. All the guys that are a part of that. I saw a local racer from Concord Motorsports Park, or used to be, Nick Drake. He's out here running with Cole Custer. You know, they're on the Haas development team for Tony Stewart and Stuart Haas. I mean, this place is crawling with, you know, North Carolina NASCAR types, and it is just amazing.
I gotta ask you, what was the crowd and just people down in the pit area's reaction to Kyle Larson being able to come back from a heat race spin to climb all the way up through the alphabet to eventually win that feature on Tuesday night?
Well, I read something, and I apologize for anybody. This is what I read on Twitter, that Chili Bowl Jesus made the A main. And I think that's that's how much the crowd loves this young man. Kyle Larson, you know, the guy that won the 300 nationwide race at Charlotte in May, hasn't stopped. He runs the high line. He'll run down low. Garth Brooks is in town, and I don't care. Larson knows how to get to lower places than even Garth if he needs to.
Yeah, no kidding, Lenny. And I'll throw you one better than Kyle Larson. If Kyle Larson is Chili Bowl Jesus, I don't know what that makes Sammy Swindell, Lenny, because I know that place was going absolutely mental when Swindell got black flagged out of his heat race for losing the muffler last night. And then what does Sammy do? Slammin' Sammy comes from the D main up 45 positions and finishes 5th in the A main last night. Doesn't quite transfer to the big money show on Saturday, but come on now, it's Slammin' Sammy. We know he'll race his way through the alphabet again.
Let me put this through music perspective. The energy and the crowd in this place feels like what it must be like at one of those wild Slipknot concerts. And Sammy's over there kicking around in a George Jones tune, saying he don't need no rocking chair.
He doesn't need a rocking chair. I mean, come on, he's still racing and trying to get a 6th golden driller.
Absolutely, and he is bent on doing it. And you could tell by the way he raced last night and just the energy in here. The Swindells have their package back together. They didn't like it that Clausen took it away from them. This is, you know, the Driller Dome, as I've coined it. The Driller Dome here is a Swindell house, and they don't want anybody rearranging the trophy furniture except them. And they are going to be very, very strong here once again. And, you know, it's only Thursday. We've still got Friday, and then, of course, Alphabet Soup on steroids on Saturday when everything counts and they try to claw their way into that final feature A main.
Oh, that's the only one that matters. It's live on MAV TV. We all get to watch it. It's going to be great. It's a bucket list event, Lenny, and like you've said, it's been the Swindell house for about as long as anybody who cares to think can remember. And, you know, we talked all about Sammy, but the other fun part about this is Kevin's not hardly even been on the track yet.
No, Kevin hasn't been on the track. And a couple of years ago, I guess Kevin didn't even, run his heat race. Had to start way in the back and still able to bring it up. I don't think they really care. It's kind of reminiscent of the way Earnhardt would go out. Qualify wherever. Let's race. Just get me to the race. That's what the three was all about, winning races. And I think the Swindells have that same mentality, and it's going to be on display here. It's a beautiful thing. I got to look at Christopher Bell, though, as one of the guys that was the top 3 last year. He is really setting himself up to be one of the guys that might move up a spot or 2 more and take home his first Golden Driller. He's a threat. Rico Abreu from last night. I mean, this is a perfect confines for a driver that is less weight than the others, who has had a fantastic season. Those 2 guys are going to be double tough once we get to Saturday. And by the way, guys, you can watch tonight on RacingBoys.com. RacingBoys.com is a pay-per-view, and you go to RacingBoys.com and be able to watch all the way up to that intro of Mav TV.
No question. Well, I wanted to ask you about Rico Abreu because, not a lot of conversation about him going into this thing because everybody was talking about Sammy and Kevin and Kyle Larson. I mean, not a lot of people talking about Rico Abreu, but that young racer is one of the best drivers to be in the entire country. I don't care how big or small he is. He's got a mean-sized right foot, and he's not afraid to use it.
No, absolutely. Rico Abreu is a skilled assassin when it comes to cutting through the field on his way up to the front, and he showed it here last night. And he's one of the guys that, I'm telling you, the buzz, even on the airplane, is Rico Abreu coming to some form of NASCAR next year? Will we see him in the series? I won't say which one because I think they were talking 2 or 3 different ones, the guys behind me on the plane. But the tongues are wagging. This kid is hot commodity, and I think that's what we're really showcasing. It's kind of like when you go to a summer shootout and you see all those kids that eventually will be the Bubba Wallace's, Ryan Blaney's, and Joey Logano's. Well, you're seeing that here from that Midwestern sprint cars type feel, and it is amazing. And don't forget Dominic Scelzi, Gary Scelzi's son. Yeah, the former NHRA funny car and top fuel racer, his son, following in Dad's racing footsteps, but doing it in the dirt in a midget. Dominic Scelzi. Might not be this year, but Dominic Scelzi is moving up through the ranks. He'll be known come Saturday. He'll be up into those higher letters as it gets going, and you'll watch that name rise once again. So it's awesome to see USAC, NHRA, NASCAR. We've even got Donald McIntosh, who won the hangover race at 411 Motor Speedway just a couple of weeks ago in a dirt super late model here running. So it runs the gamut. Awesome.
Well, and you haven't even mentioned Tim McCready, the Northern Dirt Modified Dirt Late Model hot shoe who's won it before, who's out there, and Justin Peck, who won the Rumble, at least a part of the Rumble this year, and last year won the big race. Justin making his way up through the ranks too, and he's out there competing. So you're right; it does really run the gamut. They come from all over the place to compete in that show, and it's just got to be an electric atmosphere out there for sure.
It really is. I talked to McCready, and Tim said that they threw kind of the wild package to try to throw out every idea that might work the other night. It didn't, of course, but they thought that they saw a combination within all the combinations that they were trying that's going to be faster come on Saturday night. So he didn't look good. He admitted that. But he really feels confident that the crew can put together a car that can get him where he needs to be come Saturday night late in the evening here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, that's when it matters to T-Mac and to any of these guys who are trying to fight their way to the front and win a Golden Driller, Lenny. And, we talk about it, almost 350 guys up there trying to pick and choose. And I'm looking at these Keith Kunz guys. If Chris Bell can win his preliminary feature tonight, they'll be 3 for 3 on the weekend so far. It's hard to bet against them, but have you seen anybody you really like out there yet?
No, all my picks are right there, exactly where you're at. Christopher Bell is who I've told everybody is my pick for the feature win, and a lot of folks think Abreu is going to be that guy as well, coming from the same stable. I would think those 2 guys are going to be the ones battling it out with Clausen, Larson, maybe Frank Flood, who was here and won his driller in the shootout a couple of weeks ago, or Facento. who was there as well. At least they're comfortable in this building. They may not be comfortable at this higher weight car, a little more horsepower, but a lot goes into the mental game in here. You got 8 laps most of the time. Most of these races are about that, and they're over fast. When you lock into that seat onto this racetrack with all these people in such close confines, confidence may be that added horsepower that somebody like Frank needs to be able to move up and get himself into that A main, which is historic in and of itself. You're one of those racers there. You punched your ticket to always be able to say that you made the A main at a Chili Bowl.
And that's the big point, Lenny. That is the big point. Just to qualify for the race is a feat. To win it is something that you'll take with you the rest of your life. And for all these guys, they're trying to do it real quickly. I'm curious because I've heard that he's there. I've heard that he's making this track look as good as it has the last 2 days. You haven't seen smoke out there, have you?
You're talking about their new track prep guy?
Yeah,
guy
that
from,
guy.
Indiana?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony Stewart. He's here. Anthony out there on the tractor. I think they ought to get him one of those crew shirts like the electricians and the plumbers and the rest of the service workers that work so hard out there do. Well, if he's working that hard, he ought to get his name right there on a shirt too, named right there, Anthony.
Never mind that. Get him a car.
Yeah. I think he's having more fun. He's out there. He smiles at people. He's able to, help the sport grow. And that's what I love about Tony Stewart. Whether it's buying racetracks and restoring them, building great race teams, he loves it for the right reasons. And this grassroots fan base loves Tony Stewart. It's awesome to be here. And, you were talking about making the A main. Remember those old Winston posters from the All-Star race? I think that's what this feels like when you make an A main here. It's like making the All-Star race at Charlotte.
Yeah, there you go, Lenny. It's an all-star dirt race. We appreciate you coming on. Looking forward for the rest of the weekend. That's Lenny Batycki. We are going to take a break here, and when we come back, Dylan Lupton joins us to talk K&N Pro Series West action and what he might be doing for 2015. 3 minutes away, and we're back here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
WinYourNewCar.com. Enter America's #1 dream car giveaway contest. At WinYourNewCar.com, complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free. Come on, stop dreaming, start driving with WinYourNewCar.com.
Car problems? You can trust your local Cotman man. Cotman has a 40-year history as a leader in car repair and making happy, satisfied customers. Whatever's wrong with your car, SUV, or truck, Cotman will check it out free using state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment. Don't take chances with your car. Bring it to Cotman and let your local Cotman man show you why they are America's transmission and total auto care experts. Visit Cotman.com to download money-saving coupons. Cotman. Real service, real fast.
You know that phone call is going to come at the worst possible time, right at the end of the game. Fourth quarter, fourth down, and 1 yard to go. They're piling up, but you can't watch that. You got to get that car off the road. This could have been prevented if you have taken advantage of Cotman's free TransCheck 21. Here's a chance to have us look at your car and head off any problems that could happen that could interrupt that game. Again, it's a free check. Come see us.
See Leonard and the fine folks at Cotman of Manassas, 9113 Mathis Avenue in Manassas. Give them a call at 703-365-7200.
Media sales professionals with agency experience. If you're frustrated with your current position, unrealistic quotas, and inept management, if you're a sales machine and you simply will not take no as an acceptable reply, if you're looking for a rapidly growing company with unlimited sales potential for commissions in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're searching for a high-tech, forward-looking, laid-back, but extremely professional organization who appreciate your skills and dedication, we have your next opportunity. Scorpion Radio Group is building a sales team of self-starters who are motivated. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444 or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. That's 717-749-0444. 0444 and ask for Sue.
Hi, this is Jens Scott from Summit Point Kart in Summit Point, West Virginia. If you're looking for a real racing experience on a real racetrack, come out to Summit Point Kart this weekend. For as little as $25, you can get your racing career started. New this year, Summit Point Kart offers the RX 250, capable of over 75 miles an hour. We're open every Friday from 5 p.m. till 9 p.m., Saturday from noon till 10 p.m., and Sunday from noon till 9 p.m. For more information, go to our website, summitpointkartwithak.com, or you can call us at 304-725-5270. Summit Point Kart, your East Coast karting center.
For 17 years, Stock Car Steel has been a leading materials supplier to the racing industry. Now they're also an official motorsports content partner of Race Chaser Online. The biggest names in NASCAR trust Stock Car Steel for all their raw materials, such as carbon steel, chrome moly, DOM, aluminum, plastics, and much, much more. You can't build a race car without the basic materials, and Stock Car Steel is the place to get them. Don't forget to also visit Stock Car Steel's sister company, SRI Supplies, for racing and industry. SRI is your #1 source for all your shop supply needs. Nuts, bolts, rivets, tapes, adhesives, cutting tools, chemicals, body shop supplies, paint shop supplies, lubricants, and more. A well-stocked race shop is a winning race shop, and the road to winning begins with 3 letters, SRI. For more information, visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com. You can also find them on Facebook at Stock Car Steel and Aluminum, or call either company toll-free at 1-888-752-7272.
Now back to Speed 77 Radio, Stock Car Steel, SRI Motorsports Show, and more Thursday night race talk. Here's your host, Tom Baker.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, coming to you from the Performance Motorsports Network studios and across the country. Tom Baker, Kyle Magda, Marshall Gabel, and Jacob Seelman. Jacob, I'm going to turn to you because we are going to be switching gears pretty drastically here. We're going from open wheel midgets indoors on dirt to, NASCAR K&N Pro Series West. That is about as drastic of a spectrum as you could probably have on one show.
Oh, well, that's just what we do, though. That's
exactly.
Our MO.
We do it well.
We do it well, and somebody else that does the whole shifting gears and going fast thing really well is our next guest, Dylan Lupton, and want to bring him right out of the pits with us. Dylan, first off, glad to have you back on, and second off, before I get to what the heck are you doing for 2015, let's look back for a second, because you had a really solid 2014 season, didn't get back to victory lane like you wanted, but still made a lot of progress, still had a lot of strong runs. Anything that you look back on and really smile about from this past year?
Yeah, thank you for having me back on the show. Always love talking to you guys. And 2014 is a bumpy year, and some people will be surprised of me saying that, since we got 14 top 10 finishes and 14 races. We got a handful of top 5s, even got a win at Kern County Raceway this year. However, I feel like we had a little bit of bad luck. In Miller Motorsports Park when we were down the cylinder, and then at Evergreen getting passed on the last lap for the win after leading about 80 laps. But I'd have to say that 2014 was a big game changer for me. I was in my sophomore year in the K&N West Series. I was really getting comfortable with these cars and running up front, so it made a huge impact on my racing career and kind of set up me to move forward for 2015.
Yeah, I forgot about Kern County. It seems like that's been forever ago already with everything that's been going on. You've set up a lot, so that leads to the obvious question. What all have you set up? Is there anything you can tell us about what you may or may not be doing for next year yet?
I can tell you guys a little bit, not all the details, but I will not be returning to the K&N West Series or the K&N Series at all, for that matter. I will be racing part-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I can't kind of give the details of, what tracks I'll be running yet or what team I will be racing for, but we have aligned a verbal commitment to a racing team, and I think that 2015 is going to be huge for my racing career.
Awesome.
That's huge. That is, I'll be totally honest, that was not what I was expecting you to say, but that is huge news, and I know I, for one, am really excited for you, Dylan. And it's a big jump, but then with everything that's been going on, I mean, as we've seen lately, these K&M Pro Series cars really are the perfect way to step up into something like the Xfinity Series because of the way the packages are all starting to kind of interrelate now. It gives you guys a lot of experience to be able to make that step a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest change is going to be learning these new tires, going from a bias ply tire to a radial tire. I've heard that that's a big difference in these race cars. The power's not too different, a little bit more in these Xfinity cars. But, you know, the K&N drivers have done quite well in the past. Just look at Chase Elliott. Goes out and wins the championship in his rookie season in the Xfinity Series, and he was a graduate from the K&N Series. And you have Dylan Kwasniewski and Kyle Larson. So all these drivers have had to make that jump, and they have done quite well. So hopefully I can follow in their footsteps.
And Dylan, back in Richmond, you were announced as a part of the NASCAR Next class. I know that was huge for you, not just in your personal career, but also for your racing career going forward. So how much do you think that just on your resume can really help you gain some rides in the NASCAR National Series?
Oh, it helps tremendously. Kind of gives credit to what I've done on the track. It's kind of hard for people to hear my name when I'm racing on the West Coast, and all these big teams are out here on the East Coast. So getting in the NASCAR Next program helped my name become more of a household name in these racing teams, and kind of, like I said, gives me credit for what I do on the track. It proves that I'm a future star of the sport.
I know since your early days in the K&M West Series that you have wanted for so long now to be able to move up to the NASCAR National Series, with you announcing just, not the full details, but just announcing a part-time Xfinity Series deal. How much does that mean to you, just to sum up everything that you've done during your career?
It kind of hasn't sunk in yet, to be honest. I feel like once I get to the shop and get around all the guys on the crew and then start going to the racetrack, then it'll kind of sink in that, you know, I'm racing the second tier of the sport. There's not too many people that can go out and say, hey, I'm a NASCAR driver, and I really feel like going up to the Xfinity Series, I could finally say I'm a professional driver. So it hasn't sunk in yet, but I'm really excited to get the opportunity to go prove myself as a driver. It's kind of sink or swim now, so I'm looking forward to seeing how good I swim.
Well, we're pretty sure here at the round table that you will doggy paddle just fine, Dylan. You're definitely a capable racer, and we're excited to see you getting the chance to step up. Now, obviously, you can't give us information about the team or, you know, a lot of specifics, but can you tell us, is this something that you had been working on all along, or is this something that kind of just fell into place? I know a lot of times what happens is you start working on, for example, a truck series deal, or you start talking to Team A or Team B, and all of a sudden something else, another door opens. Is this something you'd been pursuing since the end of this season, or is this something that just became available and kind of got you going in a different direction? Because I kind of thought we might be seeing you in the truck series.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like Case B, how you're explaining. We were talking Cobblish Motorsports, Red Horse Racing, Thor Sport, all these race teams about going and doing a full year in the truck series, and that's what we're kind of gunning for. But then just that kind of lack of sponsorship in the later months of summer, around, you know, September, getting into October, we still didn't have an idea of where we were going to get funding from. So we were just kind of putting it off and off and off, and the teams were able to secure from other drivers. So we're kind of closed up, and this ride in the Xfinity Series just kind of fell in our lap, and we started running with it, and it looks like it's going to work out now.
Well, I know we're excited that it looks like it's going to work out, Dylan. And before we cut you loose tonight, definitely know that going into this season, you had a lot of success last year, and I know you've probably got people to thank. Who makes it happen for you and the team?
Yeah, this 2014, I just have to tell Bob Rincati, thank you again for such a wonderful opportunity for me to race on one of the best teams in the West and helping me progress through the sport, able to go out and get wins. So obviously, Sunrise 4 played a key role in my racing career these last 2 years. Also, GoPro stepped up and really been helpful for us. And also, my family's been behind me 100%, and I couldn't do any of this without them. So look forward to turning another chapter in the book and going racing in the National Series.
Well, we're excited to see that next chapter and looking forward to seeing you start writing it, Dylan. Best of luck to you, and we'll look forward to seeing you later this season.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on the show again, and hopefully in a few weeks I can come out and tell you guys who I'll be racing for.
That's what we're looking forward to. That's Dylan Lupton. We're going to shift gears again in just a couple of minutes. We're hearing from Mike Parks, the Granite State Pro Stock Series president, joins us right after this business here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
In the Pits Media is proud to present its newest partner, WinYourNewCar.com. That's right, you now can enter the #1 American Dream Car Contest giveaway at WinYourNewCar.com. Complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free, delivered to your door. Come on, stop dreaming, start driving with WinYourNewCar.com.
Car problems? You can trust your local Cotman man. Cotman has a 40-year history as a leader in car repair and making happy, satisfied customers. Whatever's wrong with your car, SUV, or truck, Cotman will check it out free using state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment. Don't take chances with your car. Bring it to Cotman and let your local Cotman man show you why they are America's transmission and total auto care experts. Visit Cotman.com to download money-saving coupons. Cotman. Real service, real fast.
You know that phone call is going to come at the worst possible time, right at the end of the game. Fourth quarter, fourth down, and 1 yard to go. They're piling up, but you can't watch that. You got to get that car off the road. This could have been prevented if you have taken advantage of Cotman's free TransCheck 21. Here's a chance to have us look at your car and head off any problems that could happen that could interrupt that game. Again, it's a free check. Come see us.
See Leonard and the fine folks at Cotman of Manassas, 9113 Mathis Avenue in Manassas. Give them a call at 703-365-7200.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
If you're a gearhead, you probably go online to those hot rod superstores, drooling over the chrome and speed goodies until you find just the right item for your muscle car, tuner car, truck. But what do you do when it comes to fixing the mom mobile? If you're like most do-it-yourselfers, you head to the strip mall parts store and talk to the "Do you want fries with that?" kid behind the counter. Hold on, Bunky. Did you stop to think where those chain stores are getting the parts that you're installing in the vehicle that's used to transport your family everywhere? They get the cheapest suppliers they can find to sell you the parts at bargain prices. Their limited lifetime warranties? What a joke. Remember the last time Mom's car broke down? You heard about that one for weeks. Don't take that chance again. Excelsior Racing has the quality parts you need for your family vehicle. Parts that you can install knowing you're getting the best for your family. Excelsior Racing. Quality parts, personalized service, affordable pricing, fast to you direct. Excelsior Racing. Online at excelsiorracing.com or call 502-909-2034.
Hi everybody, this is Getty Lee for RAD. To many of us, drunk driving is something that other people do. Certainly not one of our friends or relatives would do such a thing. When you see someone who's had too much to drink, about to get into a car, urge them to give up the keys and find alternate transportation. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, you should too.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
The Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show continues now on the Performance Motorsports Network. And here's your host, Tom Baker.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. Tom Baker with you for about another hour and 15 minutes or so of race talk here on the Performance Motorsports Network. My cast of characters tonight, Jacob Seelman, Marshall Gabel, and joining us now as Kyle Magda gets a brief break from the round table is our other resident Kyle in the Race Chaser Speed 77 radio staff, Kyle Souza, our New England correspondent. And the reason that Souza is joining us is because we are going to talk some New England motorsports, or at least one series, and that is the Granite State Pro Stock Series. We've got Mike Parks, the president of the series, on the line. Let's get him out of the pits. Let him go full throttle with us here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. Mike Parks, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we're happy to have you, and want to welcome Kyle Souza to the program as well. Kyle helped us to make the necessary arrangements to get Mike on the program. Mike, first of all, for those in our audience who are not familiar with the Granite State Pro Stock Series, talk a little bit about the series, its background, and where it is today.
Well, basically, we're a traveling super late model series. It's a series that I started, did a one-off event in 2011. Rented the at that time the Twin State Speedway in Claremont, New Hampshire, to see what kind of interest there was in a series for super late model cars in southern New England. And our first event, if I remember correctly, we had 18 cars show up, so that told us that there was definitely enough interest. So we moved forward in 2012 with a 6-race schedule, and it's just been going forward since then.
Mike, good evening, everybody. I'm a little bit delayed tonight on joining the Stock Car Steel Show. But, Mike, let's talk about the Granite State Pro Stock Series. Not so much as a series at this point, but the drivers in it are really what I want to look at right now. You have some of the best super late model drivers in the Northeast. And a lot of people would say that's up for question or arguable, but I think it's true. You've got Derek Randstrom, won your event at Thompson, the last race in 2014. You have got some of the best super late model drivers that maybe the East Coast could see. These guys could go somewhere else and be competitive, and you also have some young drivers that are coming up.
Yeah, we have a very diverse group of competitors, from 15, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids to, old guys like myself in our mid-50s that are still doing this, and a wide variety of experience levels, and there is some really quality guys that race our series, and the younger kids are getting better and better and better all the time. And as you said, a lot of these guys could go anywhere and be as competitive in any series as what they are with us.
Now, Mike, the 2014 season, you guys saw multiple different winners, but you saw a couple of guys that were towards the front of the pack. I was looking back at some of the results this afternoon. Jeremy Davis was strong at a lot of these races. What do you expect for 2015? Do you expect the same driver core to come back, or do you expect some add-ons, some drops? What's on the horizon?
I think we'll see basically the same with a few guys that will, some competitors that will pop in from time to time and not race the whole series. In the past, we've had some of the Pro All-Star Series competitors pop in and race with us from time to time. And it's just a good core group. And our guys that race this series all the time, Derek Griffith, myself, Tommy O'Sullivan, Michael Sullivan, Dylan Moltz, Brad Babb. I mean, it's a very quality field of cars. And as you said, we ran 11 events last year, and we had 10 different winners. And if I remember correctly, the year before, it was the same thing. We had 11 events with only one repeat winner as well.
Mike, one of the guys that you mentioned in that list ultimately ended up being your champion for this past season, Dylan Moltz, and just had a remarkable year and really came out and I think surprised a few people. What was it like watching Dylan really come into his own this year, and what kind of a representative do you feel he's made for the Granite State Series here since he was able to wrap up the championship?
Dylan's a great young guy. The whole bracket mechanical team is just a great group of guys to have on our series. Dylan had a lot of bad luck at the beginning of the year. He seemed anytime there was a place to get a flat tire, that seemed to happen for him. And but they turned that part of their season around about the midway point and really came on strong at the end of the year. Not saying he wasn't strong at the beginning of the year. He just had a lot of bad luck at the beginning of the season, and just he just was a great addition and a great spokesperson for our series.
And obviously, you take that kind of momentum into now what's going to be a really interesting 2015 season. I know you guys have been working on that, released the schedule last month, and got some really, really great dates. Speedway 51 going to host a July 4th special, and I know that's going to be a big race for you guys. What are you guys most looking forward to about the schedule for 2015? Any tracks or events in particular?
Well, they're all special in their own unique way. I mean, our series goes from a majority of the quarter mile high bank bull rings to the 5/8 mile at Thompson and the third miles at Claremont Speedway and Lee. It's a pretty diverse group of racetracks. From Hudson Speedway in Hudson, New Hampshire, that's been there since I'm guessing the late 40s, and honestly, I don't think it's been paved since the early 60s. It's just old, worn out, bumpy, but we've put on some of our best racing at some of those unique events. I think the two events, one of the events that's really special to me is going back to Claremont Speedway. That's where, like I said, we leased that speedway in 2011, and they've gone through some different ownership over the past couple of years, and some new ownership took possession a month ago, and we were able to put a date together on their opening event. So it's pretty special to go back to where this whole series originally got its start.
Mike, for the fans that don't see the Granite State Pro Stocks week to week, I know this series, when it first started, there were a couple of officials that jumped on with you and tried to put this together with you, and you guys have really hit a stride. For the fans that don't see the behind the scenes, talk about the dedication and the work that the officials and the staff and the tech inspectors and your starter, your race director, these guys put in a lot of work to make this possible.
Yeah, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have a series. I still race the series full time, so during the wintertime, I'm the business guy behind the scenes, but come the summertime, I'm just a racer that shows up on Saturday. If it wasn't for God, I could list the whole group. Jen Reddy, she's our operations manager. Brian Cowan's our race director. Jeff Zeideman's our head tech inspector, and the list goes on and on and on. Without their support and dedication, it wouldn't be possible. We've been very fortunate. I feel we have the absolute best staff of officials and race day officials of any series anywhere in the country, because we've been very fortunate and put a fantastic staff together.
And I know that staff has made a lot of work already towards 2015, and I've heard you say some really high things about where this series seems to be going for the new year. Mike, where do you think this series is headed with this new season in 2015? It seems, I know I've heard a couple people say it's pretty ambitious, some of the things you guys are trying to do this year, but where do you see the series headed now that you've got a couple of good years under your belt?
Well, this series was put together for I'm trying to word it correctly. I'm not going to say inexpensive series, because any super late model that you race is an expensive race car. But it's a series that a track promoter can afford to have. So if you have that rainy day, the track operator doesn't have to dig into his savings account, so he doesn't lose his butt for the night. Our series will never be a series that pays $4,000 to win for a regular event. It's more important to me to, our events, most of them pay $1,600 to win, but they're $250 to $300 to take the green. My philosophy is the guy that wins, if he gets $1,500 or $1,600, he's still coming back to the next event. And the guy that finishes 20th, if he gets $300 compared to $75 or $100, that makes a huge difference if he comes back. And I can't have a series based off 10 or 12 cars showing up at each event. We need to bring 20 to 30 cars to each event. And fortunately, we've been able to do that. And honestly, I don't see that backing off from that. My goal is 10 to 14 events. 14 is the absolute max I would ever book. In the last 2 years, we've ended up with 11 events, and I'm perfectly fine with that. That's a good number. Would I like to have 1 or 2 more? Sure, but there's nothing wrong with our 11 race schedule at all. We're always in contact with new speedways, and there was a couple events this year that we tried to book in with a couple of different tracks, and with their schedule and our schedule just didn't work this year. So continue on that in the future, and hopefully next year we'll be able to add 1 or 2 more events.
I know that's something you guys are looking at, and I know you guys are just hoping to have a really tremendous 2015 season, just like you did last year in 2014, Mike. And we really appreciate you coming on, taking a few minutes to talk with us here on the show. Wish you and your entire crew the best of luck as we head into this 2015 season. I know it's kicking off at Thompson, and you guys have got those 11 events planned, so we'll look forward to seeing all of those events come to fruition, and hope to have some of the cast from Granite State back on later this season to talk about some of their runs.
That'd be awesome. So if you guys are all in the area, April 10th and 11th, come up in the Speedway Motorsports Park and see what we have to offer.
Thompson Speedway, that's where the Granite State Pro Stock Series kicks off. That was Mike Parks, the series president, and in just a couple of minutes, we're going to shift gears yet again, go back to ARCA conversation to kick off the second half of our show, and bring in Kyle Weatherman back to the show to talk with us about testing, short tracks, and maybe a little bit of Daytona, too. First, this business, you're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show right here on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
Enter America's #1 dream car giveaway contest at winyournewcar.com. That's right, winyournewcar.com. Complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free delivered to your door. Come on, stop dreaming and start driving with winyournewcar.com.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit. Make a plan. Be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
On the air, you may know me as the man about motorsports. Actually, I've been the man about insurance for over 30 years. With one call, I can cover your life, health, auto, home, and business insurance. Recently, I saved a young couple over $500 on their annual car insurance bill. No gimmicks and no green lizard. So if you think your insurer is really your good neighbor who is on your side because he is holding your money in his good hands, think again. Call me, 703-631-8000. I have dozens of insurance companies waiting to give you the protection you need and deserve. It may take more than 15 minutes, but you'll receive sound advice, quality professional service, and an honest opinion. That number again, 703-631-8000. Ask for Larry O.
Did you know that birthday parties help build confidence in kids?
Yeah. Did you know that giving kids less sugar before bedtime helps them sleep better?
Oh, totally. Did you know that friendly kids have more friends?
Everybody knows that.
Hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
I didn't know that.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He'd guide us to that ultimate victory.
Watch Tony's story at IamSecond.com.
Now, back to more with Tom and the Speed 77 radio crew. It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
It's something all right, Tom. I'm not sure what it is, but hey.
It's something, that's for sure.
We're back here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, and that's a good thing because we always have something to talk about. Jacob Seelman, the aforementioned Tom Baker, Marshall Gabel, Kyle Magda around the round table, and rolling right into the second half of our program. We're going back to how we started the show, Tom. We're talking ARCA racing, ARCA testing, and we've got a young guy who's been on the show with us here a couple of times who may get to take a few laps at Daytona over the weekend.
Yeah, it should be a bunch of fun. And boy, I'll tell you what, anytime you get a chance to take laps at Daytona, that has got to be something special. And Kyle Weatherman, let's have a little conversation here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. First of all, welcome to the program. Second of all, tell us what's up this weekend for you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on here. And, we have something different coming up here this weekend. Nothing I've really been a part of or heck, even really been on the track at all. So, it's going to be something different for me, something I want to learn about and learn about all the aerodynamics and all that kind of stuff that has a play in this weekend's test. We got Buster Graham actually going to be the main driver because, he's old enough and I'm really not, so I can't even participate in the event. We're actually eligible for the test, so we're probably going to do that there at the end of the test day after Buster gets the car dialed into how he wants it there. So it's going to be cool. We're excited for it and ready to get going here.
That's got to be a little bit tough for you, Kyle, though, because you get to take some laps, learn about how the car is going to behave on a super speedway track, but yet you've got to turn the wheel over because you're not old enough yet to officially drive in race conditions at Daytona. Is it tough having to sit on the sidelines in February, or is it one of those situations where you can at least take away the learning experience knowing that before too much longer, you'll be back?
It's a little struggle, but like you said, it's more experience, more towards my way, and that's always good. We've got good stuff talking about coming up here, the short tracks and the couple mile and a half and everything. So we're getting excited for all that, for what I'm eligible for this year, and I'm ready for this 2015 season to get started here.
Sticking with Daytona, most of your background is on the short track, so what do you think the biggest difference will be translating from the short tracks up to the mile and a halves and even Daytona?
There's going to be different hand gestures and movements through the I guess the test. There's so there's not going to be a whole lot of drafting. I actually don't think they're going to allow it at all. So I really won't get the aerodynamic side of the deal, which is the big key and the play. For the race and everything. But, it's going to be a lot different because you got to be really smooth with the wheel, really smooth with the gas and brakes and all that. So it's going to be something different, nothing I've really ever experienced at all in my life. So it's good that I'm starting a couple years early, kind of getting the learning curve out of the way, I guess you could say.
Kyle, you just turned 17 last year. You got to run Kentucky. What was it like driving on a really bumpy track like that and getting your feet wet on a super speedway?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It really was. We had actually a pretty decent run there too. So it was a good learning curve for that was more towards aerodynamic side that I've never really experienced. So that was my first time there. First time getting the actual feel for air moving around and pushing you around and getting you free, tightening you up and everything. So it was a lot of fun. Got the baseline, learning curve out of the way. But heck, there's still all kinds of stuff I'm going to be able to learn in the next few years here, and hopefully everything turns out here to how we're all planning and getting ready for. So,
Kyle, what's it like driving for a team like the Rulo brothers? And I know, for a little while, and I'm not sure if you still are. I know you were roommates with Chris Buescher. What's it like driving for the team, and has Chris given you any advice to help you with your racing career?
Oh, absolutely, he has. We're still staying together and everything, so he gives me advice. We're struggling right now. We were last year at least. We've got some big improvements coming up here in the next few weeks here that we're going to start doing and everything. And I really honestly think that we kind of got the rough patch out of the way, I believe. And I believe this 2015 season is going to be a big turn for my career and, the Rulo brothers for sure. So.
Kyle, I know you got to race with your brother Clayton Weatherman in the ARCA series for the Rullo brothers a little bit last season. Talk about what that's like to be racing alongside just a just a relative in that regards. And I'm sure it must have been something for your parents to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were nervous. They're sitting on the sidelines, but it was pretty fun. He actually really didn't make it to the race. He made a mistake early in qualifying and kind of ended it there. But that was I guess one of the rough learning curves that he had to go through there. But he won't make that mistake again, and he'll learn from it and keep on going. We're the Weatherman boys. We don't give up, and we're both moving up. So it's and not trying to sound cocky or anything, but we're both very dedicated on what we're doing here. We're giving 110%, and we're not giving up till we get where we want to be. So.
I was going to say it's not cocky at all. As long as I've known both you and Clayton from racing at the summer shootout or wherever it is you guys have been, it's just you guys are so excited to be doing what you're doing. It's a lot of passion that shows through in what both you and your brother do. And I know it showed through a lot last year because you had some really high points, had some tough runs. I think back to probably that last race you ran last year at Kentucky where you started fourth, finished in the top 10, and really were running in contention all day long. It gives you a lot of momentum, but at the same time, I feel like that was one of those where not a lot of people were expecting big things from you, and yet here you are. You go and say, hey, we're here.
Right. We were kind of on the down low all year, unfortunately, but and you still got to take the good points out of it. We still learned a lot. Got some experience on tracks I haven't been on. And I still got experience on tracks I have been on, and I've learned stuff through every race. And you just keep a tally on everything you learn, and eventually, if we work hard enough in the shop, we end up putting it together there at the racetrack and being there at the end. It's going to turn out to how hard we work and how we want it to. So and that's the thing with me and my brother. We both work in the race shop. We're both there, hands on with the race car, turning wrenches and everything. So. It's hard work's going to pay off for sure.
It certainly looked like it has started to pay off for you, Kyle. And I guess that leads us to really the important question out of all this. If it's paying off, that begs, what exactly are you doing in 2015? I know you and I have been talking about it a little bit. You're still trying to get some of the finer details worked out, but I imagine with the success that you and the Rullo brothers have had, really, you're not picturing yourself anywhere else right now as far as I've heard.
Right, and we've got some plans talking about. We're going to do most of the short tracks for sure, and we're gonna try to round up a couple sponsorships that we've got working on right now, and we're actually pretty close, which is good. So if everything turns out how it's looking, we might run 3 or 4 speedway races, mile and a half, I guess you could say, that I'll be eligible for, and so we'll see how all that works out, how everything ends up playing out with the sponsorship side and just getting everything prepared for sure. So
I guess with as much as you're looking like you're going to be cleared for this year, obviously that whole 18th birthday thing is coming pretty quickly for you, Kyle. What are you most looking forward to about 2015?
There's cool, there's some pretty cool tracks on the schedule that I'll be eligible for. Not really saying we're going to be running them or anything, but Pocono would be pretty cool to go to. Kentucky, Kansas. Stuff like that would be cool to go to, and like I said, we still got to get the sponsorship to back us up and, get everything ready. So, not really saying we're going there, but we're gonna put 110% into it. So, we'll see how it all plays out and see what happens as the year kind of unfolds here in the beginning.
Well, certainly, I think you're in a great position here, and you're with an outstanding team, and you've certainly got a very strong teammate as well. So, obviously, all the pieces are in place for you. What is realistic in your mind for you in terms of goals for the 2015 season, knowing that you're now going to have some tracks that you're going to be eligible for that you haven't been able to run in the past? And that's part A. Part B is go ahead and give some shout outs to all of those who make it happen for you.
For sure. And I see our 2015 unfolding, pretty strong. I know we've made a lot of adjustments, a lot of changes in the shop here towards the good. We hope. I'm not gonna count our chickens till they hatch, but we're getting closer. We've got a lot of support helping us, and it's getting good. So and I'd like to thank my dad, my mom, my brother, my sister, and all. So without their support and without these sponsors and everything that we have coming and we have now. So without them, our support and everything, we really wouldn't be here where we are now. So I've got to thank everybody for that, and thanks guys for having me on here.
Oh, we appreciate it, Kyle, and just looking forward to seeing everything going on for you here in the next couple of months. Like Tom said, you've set yourself up for a lot, and just looking forward to seeing it play out, because it's been quite the journey you've been on from the first time I saw you really as a short little kid at the summer shootout, gosh, probably 5 or 6 years ago now, to where you are at this stage with the ARCA deal for 2015. It's been fun to watch. I know it's been fun for you to be a part of, and just wish you the best of luck as you head forward down this season.
I appreciate it, sir, and thanks, guys, for having me on here.
We appreciate it. That's Kyle Weatherman, and we'll look forward to seeing how he performs at Daytona this weekend. Get to turn some laps coming up in just a couple of minutes. Boy, we've got an interesting one here. If you like reading and you haven't picked up Wicked Fast, it's a book on Bentley Warren. Pick it up, turn a few pages, or just listen to the guy who wrote it coming up in just a minute. Bones Bosher joins us to talk a little bit about motorsports, a little bit about some of the writing he's done over the years, and a whole lot about what he's seen go on up in the Northeast. That's after this business. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
WinYourNewCar.com. Enter America's #1 dream car giveaway contest. At WinYourNewCar.com, complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free. Come on, stop dreaming, start driving with WinYourNewCar.com.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be, with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
You wouldn't trust your taxes to an uncertified accountant, so why trust your vehicle to an uncertified technician? When you have to take your car into the shop, look for the blue and white ASE sign. That ASE blue seal means the shop employs technicians certified by the National Institute for Automotive Service Excellence. ASE certification is proof that technicians have the knowledge and experience to fix your vehicle right the first time. For more information on finding an ASE Blue Seal of Excellence facility, visit the website at www.ase.com.
My very first movie, it was called British Terabithia, and that was a film that a lot of kids loved.
From IamSecond.com.
It felt very cool in my heart to know that I did something nice.
Actress Bailey Madison.
I don't want it to be about me, I want it to be about God. Even though you have an earth father, he is your father, that you can say to him, God, I'm not feeling too well today. Or if it's just, little things like, I feel homesick, or I need you, Lord. I need to feel happiness in my heart. The most important thing is you have to have hope. You have to have faith. God is with you, and God is with you every step of the way. If you give yourself to God and you say, I'm ready to commit myself to you, you will know that God is watching you. He looks down and he goes, I'm very, very happy with what you just did. My name is Bailey Madison, and I am second.
Here we go with more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Hey, guess what? We're back, and it's a lot of fun, too. Jacob Seelman, Tom Baker, Marshall Gabel, Kyle Magda here around the round table, and this is the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. And Tom, we got 45 minutes to go, and we still got a lot to talk about, and our next guest has a lot of stories, too, talk about, both literally and mentally.
Yeah, well, we certainly are delighted to be able to welcome to the program someone who's been a very big part of our little piece of the industry for a while. Bones Bosher, one of the most respected members of the motorsports media in multiple ways, and certainly someone that I have had the pleasure to have been able to work with and work for back in the days of the old Trackside magazine, which we'll touch on when we get them out here. So let's not waste any more time. Let's roll the bones. Bones Bosher, welcome to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. It is really a cool deal to have you on the program.
Tom, it's great to talk to you again, and hello to the rest of you.
Well, we're excited about the opportunity to just sit back and, we spend an awful lot of time talking about current events here, and that's all well and good, and that's part of our job, but it's always fun when you can just kind of pull up a chair and sit back and revisit some of the history of the sport, and in particular short track racing. And I know you've been around for a while and had a chance to just be a part of the careers of so many of the Northeast's most prolific short track racers. You've written about a couple of them, and I want to just get right down to the two books that I want to talk with you about tonight, and we can expand in any and all directions beyond that you want to. First of all, Bentley. That's about all you got to say. You called the book Wicked Fast, but you could have just as easily called it Bentley, and everybody would have known who you wrote about. Talk a little bit about that book, about how the idea came together, the genesis of it, and what just the process of it.
Well, I've known Bentley Warren for what seems like a million years, but it's probably been, I would say, 30 or 35 years, and was able to witness a great deal of his career, luckily for me, at least the super modified portion of it once he came back from running Indianapolis in the 70s. And we've been friendly for quite some time, and, he's anybody that's ever watched him or been around him knows he's not just a great driver, but a colorful guy. And the opportunity, at one point I mentioned the book, and he had talked to another fellow about doing the book and didn't really know where the other fellow was at. And I just said, well, if you check on that and he hasn't gotten anywhere with it, do you think you want to do one? And Bentley agreed that it was about time to do one, and he talked to the other guy who happened to be almost overburdened with work. So he got back with me, and we decided to do it. And I live out in Indianapolis, and I made 3 or 4 trips to Maine, where he lives now, and a trip to Florida, where he spends the winter right around Daytona. And between that, we had some marathon interview sessions. Some really long interview sessions, and drank a little bit of beer and had a lot of laughs, and we got a book out of it.
Yeah, I don't know that you can have a conversation without a little bit of beer where Bentley's concerned, Bones. And, Bentley, you look at the book and there's just so many different moments, and I'm sure you guys talked about all of those and then some over the course of writing the book. Any particular Bentley story that you and he talked about over the course of writing this deal that stood out to you, or was just a really cool one that you and he got to talk about?
Well, I was fascinated by his upbringing. He grew up the son of some pretty high society parents in the Boston area. And it's not that he was the black sheep of the family. He was never disowned or anything, but they wanted nothing to do with his racing. They just didn't understand it, didn't get it. They came to appreciate it later on, once they saw that he'd been successful and that his hard work was paying off. But, he really came from absolutely nothing. I mentioned that he had kind of a blue blood background, but he was basically he was put in a situation where if you're going to race, you're going to do it on your own. And boy, he did. He worked, kind of started a junkyard on a little piece of property he owned, started building cars out of the junkyard like everybody did back then, raced locally, and had a progression of car owners. He was fortunate enough to come up in a time when if you were good enough, the next guy was going to call you. The next better car owner was going to call you, and it worked for him. He kind of won all over New England. He wound up racing at Oswego, New York, and winning spectacularly there. He won in modifieds. He won in super modifieds. He did some sprint car racing and won in those. And by the time 1970 and 71 came along, he was going to be, the hot young guy in Indy cars. He ran Indianapolis in 1971, ended up getting hurt later that summer after having had some great IndyCar runs. And he was badly hurt in a sprint car crash in Ohio at Sandusky. At Toledo, Ohio. And when he came back from that, he'd been out of action just long enough where, you're no longer the kid of the month. In Indianapolis type racing, a lot of people do live here, right, in Indy. And when he was healing up for 6 or 8 months back on the East Coast, the next kid became the flavor of the month. And Bentley was sort of no longer, the hot shot, the young hot shot on the scene. So he raced for himself for a while in Indy cars and had some terrific results, considering what he had to work with, but finally went back to super modified racing and had, the first little portion of his career before he went to Indy would have been a full career for anybody else. His brief career in Indy cars was shining enough that it would have been a full career on its own. And yet when he came back to super modified racing, the career he had there was, enough to make him, like you mentioned earlier, a one-name guy. You just say Bentley from Boston to Phoenix, and they know who you're talking about. He won everywhere and won everything.
Switching off of Bentley for a couple of minutes, what really draws your passion and heart to short track racing and just short track drivers, and even some drivers who have made it to the IndyCar series like Bentley, but just really what gives you the passion to go after these low-name guys, especially with a writer of your caliber and talent?
Well, I appreciate the kind words, but from a writing standpoint, it's I've always been interested in guys who are characters. The books are a lot of work. I mean, you're looking at investing, a year or year and a half of your life sometimes, and long hours. I'm not complaining about it at all, but there are a lot of, all-nighters, and especially when deadline time comes. So you've really got to make sure you're doing it about somebody who enjoys spending time with. And all of the guys I've ever done books with, and at the modified level, I did a book with Bugsy Stevens. I did the Richie Evans book. I did a book on Eddie Flemke. Of course, Richie and Eddie are no longer with us, but a lot of their friends are still here. So I was able to go back and relive those memories with those guys. They were fun. They were characters. Bentley was and is a character. Bugsy Stevens is a character. Guys like that are fun to write about. You don't mind sacrificing, so to speak, a year or so of your life if you feel like you're gonna have a good book at the end of it, and a lot of laughs along the way. I did a book with Tony Stewart for the same reason. I did a book with Bill Simpson, the famous safety innovator, who was quite a character as well. And I just did a book with Dave Darlin, the USAC sprint car champion, and all for those reasons. They're interesting people to spend time with, and that attracts me as much as anything. I mean, you could write a book about any number of guys who are successful in their branches of the sport, but like I said, with the time that's involved in it, you may as well try to have some fun along the way and dig into some interesting stories.
Well, and we definitely are wanting to dig into a couple of interesting stories with you. We want to talk a little bit more about the Bentley book, but also want to talk about the Richie Evans book as well, and ask you to share a couple of your favorite stories out of those books, because frankly, I'm jealous that you got to write them. They're just they're such characters, as you said, and Bugsy and Eddie Flemke and some of the rest of the guys as well. We want to talk about a lot of that. We're going to ask you just to hang on for a moment while we step aside, and when we come back, we will have more with Bones Bosher. I'll take some Cobb Edison. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Automotive enthusiast, have you modified your ride and want to see how much horsepower it'll put down? Look for bragging rights amongst your buddies whether you're running big boost or a big block. RP Performance has your answer. Featuring a state-of-the-art two-wheel drive Dyno Dynamics chassis dyno, RP Performance can measure your current power or help tune your car for maximum power. And for you power junkies, want to drive a fully prepared race car flat out around one of the East Coast's finest road courses? RP Performance also offers race car rentals for all your track day events. Host your next corporate team building event with the need for speed. Gift certificates are available for dyno services and track car rental. RP Performance is located at Summit Point Raceway, just minutes from Winchester. Visit them online at rpperformanceracing.com or call 304-728-6749 for more information. RP Performance, your Mazda Street performance and racing specialist.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
In the Pits Media is proud to present its newest partner, WinYourNewCar.com. That's right, you now can enter the #1 American Dream Car Contest giveaway at WinYourNewCar.com. Complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free, delivered to your door. Come on, stop dreaming, start driving with WinYourNewCar.com.
Did you know that birthday parties help build confidence in kids?
Yeah. Did you know that giving kids less sugar before bedtime helps them sleep better?
Oh, totally. Did you know that friendly kids have more friends?
Everybody knows that.
Hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
I didn't know that.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hands can do incredible things. They made every sound in this piece of music. But nothing compares to using them to help save a life. If an adult suddenly collapses, call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of their chest until help arrives. It's called hands-only CPR, and it's recommended by the American Heart Association. Visit handsonlycpr.org today. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Car problems? You can trust your local Cotman man. Cotman has a 40-year history as a leader in car repair and making happy, satisfied customers. Whatever's wrong with your car, SUV, or truck, Cotman will check it out free using state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment. Don't take chances with your car. Bring it to Cotman and let your local Cotman man show you why they are America's transmission and total auto care experts. Visit Cotman.com to download money-saving coupons. Cotman. Real service, real fast.
You know that phone call is going to come at the worst possible time, right in the end of the game. Fourth quarter, fourth down, and 1 yard to go. They're piling up, but you can't watch that. You got to get that car off the road. This could have been prevented if you have taken advantage of Cotman's free TransCheck 21. Here's a chance to have us look at your car and head off any problems that could happen that could interrupt that game. Again, it's a free check. Come see us.
See Leonard and the fine folks at Cotman of Manassas, 9113 Mathis Avenue in Manassas. Give them a call at 703-365-7200.
All I wanted to do was just pick up a guitar and sing praise songs.
From IamSecond.com.
Well, when I got to 17, I was playing in after-hours bars, just in a bunch of trouble.
Grammy Award winner Michael W. Smith.
Smoking that first joint and feeling so guilty about it. From there, it was LSD, and your compass sort of just like disappeared. I knew where I belonged. I just couldn't get out. I was very depressed. I went on the floor and just began to shake. And I was just weeping. I was weeping. And I just began to just cry out for God. 12:30 at night, on the linoleum floor of my kitchen, the God of the universe came and wept with me on that floor. I know where my hope lies. It's not being a rock star. I'm a son of the High King of the universe.
Watch Michael's story at IamSecond.com.
And now, back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show with Speed 77 Radio's most follically challenged host, Tom Baker.
I think he just made fun of my hair. Well, welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker along with Jacob Seelman, Kyle Magda, Marshall Gabel. Kyle Souza has been with us tonight as well and talking right now with Bones Bosher, one of the foremost short track racing authors, writers, and most passionate race fans, and been talking about the book Wicked Fast, which was the biography of legend Bentley Warren. And Bones, I'm curious if you have a particular story out of that book that struck you as being your favorite. I know that mine was the one where, of course, any of the motorcycle stories, but the one that stood out to me was the one where he was riding to Florida and the cop stopped him and checked his license and saw where he was from. And Bentley said, and he said to Bentley, "Oh, you're a Yankee. I've been waiting for you all day." Bentley said, "I got here as fast as I could."
Yeah, and that is typical Bentley. I mean, he's as we said earlier, just one of the great characters. Loves to laugh, loves to pull jokes. There's a great story about him winning an Oswego Classic. The greatest super modified race of them all. He won it 6 times. And they were having a party right outside the front gate at the racetrack. And that, if you've been well, I know you've been to Oswego, but that road that runs right in front of the racetrack happens to be a city street, although it's rarely used. And
Yes.
Bentley and his guys had kind of blocked it off a little bit to have this post-race victory celebration. And eventually a patrol car came up, and the cop ended up throwing Bentley in the back of the cruiser for being a little bit disorderly, shall we say. And as they were driving him down to the station, the patrolman called in and said he was bringing someone from this party who had been acting up a little bit. And the person at the station said, "Well, what's the guy's name?" This party was rowdy and it was out of hand, and he wanted to know what this guy's name was. And the cop said, "Well, he gives his name as Bentley Warren." And the desk clerk said, "Well, you better bring him back there. He's the guy that just won the race." So they ended up driving Bentley to the police station, where he signed autographs for all the Oswego cops. They're guys that had worked at the Speedway on and off over the years on the force, and needless to say, every one of them knew who Bentley was. So he kind of had a laugh with those guys, and then he rode back to the scene of the crime, so to speak, in the patrol car, riding up front this time, and naturally flashing the lights and hitting the button of the siren as he pulled up. So that's just typical Bentley. I mean, you don't go very long without laughing or smiling when you're around that guy.
No, not at all. And I know another driver who could be just as rowdy and just as funny was Richie Evans. And you know what? I think about Richie. I was a senior in high school when Richie was killed at Martinsville. And so I didn't really have the chance to interview him or, to appreciate him, you might say, in my adult life. But I've heard so many stories. And of course, I've watched him race from the time I was 5 years old at Oswego and some of the other tracks in the Northeast. And I mean, he was just a classic character. And the thing that everybody always tells me about Richie is that he never met a stranger. You walk up to Richie and he would talk to you just like he'd known you for 20 years. Do you have, again, I'll ask the same question, a particular story about Richie that stands out to you from your experience in writing that book?
Well, like Bentley, he was an incredible racer, and sometimes that gets lost, when we talk about the characters that they were. They were phenomenal racers on track, piled up, literally hundreds of victories each. But you're right, Richie had an incredible catalog of people skills, let's say. I mean, a friend of mine, Pete Zanardi, who was a writer from New England, one of the premier writers from the daily newspaper realm in New England. We always joke back and forth. I don't know if he invented it or if I invented it, but one of us kind of came up with the line that Richie could have 4 or 5 conversations at once, and that was true. I mean, he'd be talking to one guy, another guy would walk up, and it might be a whole separate conversation, and then he'd see a friend of his walk by, and he'd maybe throw a little rock at the guy, or reach out and tug the guy's sleeve. So he was one of those guys who just had an ability to kind of include everybody in what was going on. And yet, he was the guy that called the shots on all his cars, built his own stuff, made his own chassis decisions with the help of a great crew. But, I mean, he was the signal caller. So how he did all this stuff at the races is sometimes beyond me to look back at. He was very rarely ever rude or too occupied to talk unless they were in crisis mode. But you talk about stories. One thing, when he won Daytona twice in the old Super Speedway modified days, and in one of those wins, I happened to be sitting I went up in the grandstands to watch the race. It's not nearly sold out on this is the Friday before the 500, and I walked up there with Eddie Flemke to watch this race, and we noticed that about halfway through the race, Richie, who had a huge lead, he'd come around turns 3 and 4, running high one lap, and then running low the next lap, and maybe right in the middle on the lap after that, then back to the bottom, and back to the top. And we couldn't figure out why he was doing this. And I walked down to the garage area with Eddie after, and Eddie, in their younger days, Eddie had been a little bit of a mentor to Richie, so there was an immense mutual respect there. And he walked over and said, "Richie, what was the deal with that, high one lap, low the next lap, very inconsistent patterns? Normally you're a guy that's always right on the money." And Richie said, well, his radio had gone out almost at the beginning of the race, and frankly, with that big lead, he was getting bored. Nobody was talking to him. He had nobody to battle with on the racetrack. And we almost thought he was kidding because, it had been such a dominant performance, and you just didn't see that happening with a radio. By this time, radios were in vogue, and like today, everybody used one.
Sure.
And Richie pointed to his leg, and he had asked Billy Nazowitz, his crew chief, for a strip of gray duct tape, when the radio went out, in an ink pen. And he slapped the tape on his leg, and every time he went around and completed a lap, took his hand and reached down and made a slash on his leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a slash through it would be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that way he was able to keep track of the laps. He knew when to pit. He was one of those extraordinary guys that was on top of things that way. Anything you threw at him, he could handle. And it's not necessarily, one of the most colorful stories or one of the funniest stories, but it said so much to me about who he was because he just had one of those racing brains that, okay, this is the latest obstacle. I've got to deal with a broken radio, and I'm at Daytona running 200 miles an hour. Not a big problem. He had it handled, and he won the race.
That's awesome.
Now, Bones, is there a certain driver that has since passed or one that is, still currently alive and possibly racing that you wish that you could still get to have that whole year-long experience with to really get to know them and just get to spend some quality time with them writing a book about?
Well, there's a number of guys. I mean, at the national level, you look at a guy like A.J. Foyt, who tomorrow turns 80 years old, against all odds. A.J. turning 80. But, a guy like that'd be fun. Doing the Parnelli Jones book was unbelievable for me because when I was a kid, he was the iconic guy. It was him and Foyt, and Andretti was kind of coming along. And, so people at that level, I've been lucky enough to get to know them all and get to interview them all. A Foyt book would be fun, although AJ doesn't have a great history of being necessarily open with the press. He's just a guy that kind of does his own deal, and he's all business, and that's it. On the stock car side, Dale Earnhardt would have been fun. I talked briefly with him about being involved in a biography way back when, and that deal never did happen, unfortunately. But honestly, there's no one person that I think, boy, that's the one guy to go after. Different situations kind of reveal themselves. I knew Tony Stewart when I first moved to Indy. He was at the tail end of his midget career. He was an IndyCar rookie in 1996, and got to know him a little bit. Right, it was actually at his first IndyCar race in Orlando that January. And for whatever reason, some guys you hit it off with, and some guys you don't. He raced so many different kinds of cars that we saw each other in so many different places that we got to be friendly. And he had that kind of personality that was intriguing, that could draw you in one day and maybe make you a little crazy the next day. But as a writer, that's not a bad thing. You like guys who aren't necessarily predictable. So, I'm sure there is somebody that's coming along right now, but that's a long-winded answer to your question. But there's not really one guy that stands out. Maybe Foyt. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a great guy. He did a book years ago, and I've always had a great professional relationship with him. And the great thing about Dale Jr. is you can never predict what his answer is going to be. And there are very few, probably athletes, but definitely race drivers like that, where you can ask them the question and not predict to any degree what's going to come out. And Junior's fun to interview for that reason. So I think he'd be fun too. But right now I got enough between magazines and trying to figure out what the next book's going to be that, it's hard to think that far ahead.
I'm sure it's hard for you to plan too far ahead, Bones. We see so much that's going on, and I know a lot of what you've done lately is kind of just taking each moment as it comes, and it's a lot like that in the racing world for all of us. I'm curious, what have you most enjoyed, anything really that's happened in motorsports recently? I know you've been involved a lot up in the Northeast, and there's a lot going on up there. But is there anything you've had your eye on recently that just has really been something you enjoyed in motorsports?
Well, one thing, I don't know how recent it is, but when I moved from New England, the weekly racing scene, I won't say it had gotten stale, but things were changing. The modifieds had been the lead division at a lot of tracks on a regular, Friday, Saturday, Sunday basis, and that was changing, and other classes were coming in, and modifieds were running just a touring schedule, which was great, but not a lot of those guys ran the weekly races as well, the regular weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday stuff. And when I moved to Indianapolis, one thing that rejuvenated me was that you could go to a sprint car race on Friday, maybe a midget race on Saturday, maybe a Silver Crown race on Sunday, but it was the same leading guys. So I was sort of back to seeing guys 3 nights a week again, the same guys. Where in the old days you could always count on seeing Bugsy Stevens or Ronnie Bouchard or Jeff Bodine or Richie Evans, 3 nights a week, and that's how relationships develop, and you watch not just between fans and drivers or riders and drivers, but even the rivalries that kind of come up, because guys race each other 60 or 80 times a year. I think that started to fade a little bit in the extreme Northeast, and I saw that out here. And sometimes things like that perk you up again, and they give you a little bit of, they light a little bit of fire under you, and it allowed me to go back to the Northeast when I do visit there in a little bit better mood, because, like I said, things were starting to change, and I didn't necessarily like the change, but when I saw what was going on out here, it allowed me to at least go back there with a smile on my face and be more positive about things. And there's different short tracks up in the Northeast that have survived pretty well. Oswego has had a rejuvenation in the last couple of years, which I'm really happy about. Maybe 8 or 10 years ago, they were down to like 17 cars at a couple of the weekly shows I went to way back when. 8 or 10 years ago, and it was really a kind of a bummer because that place had been such an iconic speedway in that whole region, and I know the last couple of years they've really been on a comeback. So, if you're looking for doom and gloom, it's easy to find, but if you're looking for good stories, they're out there too.
Absolutely. And, it's been a blast to be able to just sit and talk with you tonight, Bones, and certainly will be forever grateful for you and old Dean Nardi giving this young spark plug a chance to get some magazine experience back in the Trackside Magazine days. Where is old Nardi anyway? I kind of lost track of him. Is he still in the sport, or has he moved on to other pastures?
I lost track of Dean a long time ago, and I mean, literally 20 years ago probably, but one night I was at Eldora Speedway in Ohio for a dirt late model race. I think it was probably the World 100, and I walked into the really small press box that they have there. It might hold 7 or 8 people. And, there was an open stool, and I sat down. I really didn't look to my left or look to my right. Finally, I glanced over to my left, and who happened to be sitting right to my left but Dean Nardi. He was working on with a dirt late model publication at the time, which I believe he's sold since then. But that was the first time we'd seen each other in years. We worked together, like you mentioned, in the Trackside Magazine days, and then I left there to write with Dick Bergeron and his guys at back then what was Stock Car Racing
Stock Car Racing, sure.
And the old Open Wheel magazine, and like I said, Dean and I kind of lost track, but he's still out there somewhere. He lives in Tennessee, I believe, and last I knew, he was still going to the races. I don't know that he has much direct involvement anymore, but you know how it is. You never really get too far away from it.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you very much for taking some time out of your evening to chat with us here on the show. And we definitely love to have you back again to talk some more. Just so many characters and so much history to talk about, and it's always fun to that's what you're supposed to do in the off season, is talk about the old days and kind of just sit back, and you just don't have a lot of current stuff. So we're always happy to change the pace up, and thanks again for being on, Bones, and we certainly look forward to bringing you back at some point again down the road.
Well, Tom, it was fun to work with you way back when. It was fun to talk to you tonight.
All right, that's Bones Bosher, and definitely a big part of the motorsports history in the Northeast part of the United States for sure, and now out in the Midwest and having a great time out there as well. And when we come back, we are going to hit the last laps. We got a little bit of New England stuff and some other stuff as well to wrap with. So stick around. There is more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show coming up here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
Enter America's #1 dream car giveaway contest at winyournewcar.com. That's right, winyournewcar.com. Complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free delivered to your door. Come on, stop dreaming and start driving with winyournewcar.com.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
So you finally arrived at the sweet spot in your life. The kids are raised and gone. You have free time, and it's finally time to do something for you. If you've ever considered owning a Corvette but have been putting it off for years, now is the time to act. Isn't this the time to finally get that Corvette you always wanted and drooled and dreamed over? Well, grab the little lady by the hand and take her to Cooper Corvettes. They're conveniently located on Route 1 just off of I-95 and just north of the Marine Corps base. They have lots of pampered and well-maintained Corvettes in inventory, and if they don't have what you want, they'll find it. From classic Stingrays to modern-day cars, Cooper is your one-stop shop. And speaking of shops, they service what they sell. And even if you didn't buy a Cooper Corvette, they'll service your Corvette anyway. Become part of the Cooper Corvette family. Call them at 703-445-1483. That's 703-445-1483. And on the web at coopercorvettes.com. That's coopercorvettes.com, American pride and countrywide.
You wouldn't trust your taxes to an uncertified accountant, so why trust your vehicle to an uncertified technician? When you have to take your car into the shop, look for the blue and white ASE sign. That ASE blue seal means the shop employs technicians certified by the National Institute for Automotive Service Excellence. ASE certification is proof that technicians have the knowledge and experience to fix your vehicle right the first time. For more information on finding an ASE Blue Seal of Excellence facility, visit the website at www.ase.com.
Hi, this is Carl Edwards here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You want to make a difference? It's simple. Be responsible. Plan ahead. Designate before you celebrate. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
Maybe you can drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
We now return you to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. And here's the guy who lost the hula hoop contest at the last PMN Summer Picnic because he just can't hula hoop. It's Tom Baker.
No, you can't. No, you can't, Tom. Not one bit.
That's, hey, look, I'm not even going to pretend on that one.
No, you shouldn't pretend. But hey, we're back here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. Jacob Seelman, Tom Baker, or non-hula hooping, as the case may be. Kyle Magda, Kyle Su.
Kyle and Kyle
that
show.
Too. Yeah, and the Kyle and Kyle show. There you go, Magda. Kyle Magda and Kyle Souza back with us now. And hey, Souza, New England's rocking. What's going on up north?
Well, before we get to an exclusive story that I broke yesterday about the Tri-Track Open Series purse, I do want to mention that the Seekonk Speedway will host their 69th season celebration and awards banquet this Saturday night at the Venus de Milo over in Swansea, Mass, about 10 minutes from where the track is. I did just want to mention that. They will crown Kenny Spencer their Pro Stock champion. His first ever. He did it without winning a feature race in 2014. And they will also crown Bobby Pellin III a late model champion. So back to what I was mentioning with the Tri-Track Open Series. The purses were announced for the 3 events, in part for the 2015 season. The first and the second at Wee and Monadnock will have a total purse of $32,500, with the winner at both venues receiving a check for $5,000. The third and final leg of the series at the Seacock Speedway, it will be part of their $10,000 to win show, so hence it will be $10,000 to win that event. Promoter James Schaefer has come out and said that if he can get 3,000 people combined in the front and back gate at Lee and Monadnock, he will push that to $10,000 up for the winner. So an extra $5,000 would go up to the winner. Jacob, that is something that these fans up here in New England need to take advantage of and get better rate. That racing could be even better than it's already going to be if these drivers see another $5,000 on the line.
You know what my thought is to that, Souza? Money, 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 money.
And unfortunately for some of these drivers up here, it could cause a little bit of chaos out there on the racetrack. If we get 5,000, well, that's true. If we get $5,000 extra dollars on the line, we've seen it at Seacock as part of the Wednesday show for the last couple of years. With $10,000 on the line, drivers will do just about anything. We saw Tommy Barrett have a great battle with Todd Anarumo last year in the conclusion of the third and final leg. Barrett took $10,000 home, and it kind of propelled him into August, where he eventually went on to win Bristol, Jacob, if you remember. So these races could start propelling somebody, and I think we need to look at somebody like Matt Zackham, who was the first entry for the Tri-Track Open Series. He'll be driving for Stan Mertz and the number 16. Zackham's been part-time on the Valenti Series in 2014, and he also ran full-time on that series in 2013, so he will be a competitor on that Tri-Track Series. He was the first entrant, and for any fans out there that are listening that would like to purchase a lap at $50 a cost, they can mention and either email James Schaefer at js8x@aol.com. Once again, that is js8x@aol.com, or they can contact him via Facebook, Jacob.
Yeah, James is excited about these lap sponsorships. They really want to get that program going for 2015 and make this Tri-Track Series very profitable for the drivers, because that's really, James said it when we talked to him about the series a couple of weeks ago. That's what it's about, making a series that's a throwback for the drivers and making it fun.
And I agree, Jacob. That's one thing that these drivers are taking advantage of. I talked to a couple drivers over the past week since the announcement of the Tri-Track Series. These guys want to see not only the money, but they want to see the car count surrounding them that's going to support them. A lot of these big heavy hitters such as Pennick, Bonsignor, Pitcat, these guys want to see competitors that they're going to go out there and race and have a good race with them, no matter what money they want to take home. Obviously, they want to take home the big check with the lap money and the winner's purse, but they want to have a good time in this Tri-Track Series. Schaefer and the racing guys and Dick Williams have done a great job preparing the series for its second season, and they're into the horizon where this could start growing more and more for 2016. I won't get ahead of ourselves yet, but there are other tracks that could possibly be interested in 2016's edition of the Tri-Track Open Modified Series. But Schaefer started continued a tradition that Kevin Rice had put together with the Star SBM race and now made it a 3-race series. Once again, the dates, Lee USA on May 17th. It's June 13th at the Monadnock Speedway, and Wednesday night, July 1st at the Seacock Speedway with $10,000 up in that final leg. And again, fans, you got to get out to Lee and Monadnock. Make Schaefer put that $5,000 extra up to the feature winner. Jacob, we've seen Money Matt Hirschman win these races before. These guys are going to be the best in the North, and we possibly could even see some of the Southern guys come up here to compete.
Spencer Davis said they'd be interested in coming up and running that race if the cards were right. So, I mean, it's possible we could get some Southern invaders. I'm excited about the Tri-Track Series. I think it's going to be great fun, Tom. But what's been great fun this whole night has been the last 2 hours that we have gotten to do. We're coming down to the last mile or so of this show. It's been fun. What are you looking forward to this weekend? Besides the fact that Saturday night we get to watch the Chili Bowl on MAV TV with Dave Despain.
Well, what else is there to look forward to besides the Chili Bowl this weekend? There's really nothing else going on except for of course, the second round, or I guess technically for some of the divisions, the third round of the Winter Heat Series at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Bandoleros and Legends, which is always fun. And of course, I think Atlanta Motor Speedway has got their, I don't know what round they're in.
Winter
First or
Flurry.
second round of Winter Flurry, yeah. So, and actually, I was going to call it the Winter Cold Series at Charlotte after last week, but then the forecast for this weekend, there's about 30 degrees last week. This Sunday, when they run this time, it's going to be 60. So if you don't like the weather we're having in Charlotte, just wait a few minutes. It'll change.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's bipolar, literally. I mean, 5 minutes, we're sunny. Next 5 minutes, we're freezing. I mean, those metal bleachers just don't cooperate either. But hey, it's still racing. It's still Charlotte, and it's still fun. And the field has been up the last couple of races as well, Tom. So that is something I'm celebrating.
Yes, no doubt. And hey, update from the Chili Bowl as we continue to go through alphabet soup and whatever. Kenny Wallace sent to the rear for hitting a restart cone. Does that classify Kenny as a cone head?
It classifies as something, though. I think Kenny Wallace is more of a cuckoo clock.
Oh gosh, don't hate on Kenny. I was just having fun. I'm sure Kenny laughed as hard as any of us are at it. You know, he's just there having a good time, and you know that's what's cool about the Chili Bowl is, you got people like the Swindells and some of the top sprint car drivers that obviously there's a number of those guys. Everybody wants to win, but you know, somebody like Kenny Wallace, he ain't worried about whether he wins or not. He's just there having a whole lot of fun. And this is the type of event that draws that. And I think that's the coolest part of it is just seeing those guys get together. And, you know, it's like an all-star show on dirt, just like you said earlier. And everybody just has a great time. And, of course, Marshall mentioning AMA Supercross. And, man, I'll tell you what, that's another whole deal in and of itself. I mean, we watched the race. Was it last weekend?
Phoenix.
Yeah, from Phoenix. That was amazing. Wow.
Ken Roczen and Eli Tomac. There's not enough I can say about that battle. Roczen had it, Tomac wanted it, and Tomac just muscled his way through and took it. First ever Supercross 450 class win. He becomes the 58th different winner in the history of the Premier class. And, you know, when Ryan Villapoto's not there to win every race he races in pretty much, it makes it fun. The German kid is good. Eli's good. Ryan Dungey, the American, I mean, he's going to be in this mix. The only thing that's missing is James Stewart.
How about Chad Reed?
Yes, Chad Reed. There you go, Kyle Magda. I knew there was somebody that I was missing. The double deuce.
Well, it definitely that was a show for sure. Really, really enjoyed that, and it's just a lot of stuff coming up here in the motorsports world. I'm looking forward to a couple of go-kart events that I'll be announcing here over the course of the next month. One in Louisiana and one in Martin, Tennessee. Both dirt track events. We'll be talking more about those next week as they draw closer. But it's a great time of the year because there's not a ton of racing, but what there is unique, and it's fun, and it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's fun and exciting, and we're getting down to it. Kyle Magda, any final thoughts from you, sir?
Yeah, just want to add some about what Sousa said about Tommy Barrett Jr. He'll be running the ARCA test tomorrow for OUR Motorsports, so that'll be interesting to see. And I think it's going to be a really stacked race. When we come to Daytona in February. Less than a month away, guys. Less than 1 month. And like Tom said, there's so much going on. You have the Chili Bowl this weekend. You have the Motorsports Show in Philadelphia next weekend. And then in 2 weeks, you have the Indoor Midgets running in Atlantic City. So a lot going on here in the Northeast.
Yeah, a lot going on. Sousa, you're going to be at Atlantic City with Magda and Marshall. Any final thoughts from you on this weekend or anything coming up?
Well, Jacob, I am looking forward to Atlantic City. That's going to be a great showdown. We saw at the Battle with Trenton, Teddy Christopher, and kind of a surprise to some, Andy Jankowiak was extremely fast on both days there. So Jankowiak, I expect to run well at Atlantic City. Little bit different of a situation with the track there. We'll dive into that a little bit more next week.
Yeah, we will. And for right now, on a Thursday night, we're throwing the checkered flag on this edition of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. For Marshall Gabel, Kyle Magda, Kyle Souza, and Tom Baker, I'm Jacob Seelman for the Performance Motorsports Network. Race fans, wherever you may be, keep it off the wall until we meet again. I want to say thank you to our partners at Stock Car Steel and SRI Supplies for making this show possible. And for all your shop supply and scrap metal needs, check out stockcarsteel.com or SRI-supplies.com. We'll be back here a week from tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern for more New England short track conversation and a whole lot more. Until then, have a safe racing weekend, and we'll see you at the track. Good night, everybody.
You've been listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tonight's show is brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supplies. For all of your racing needs, visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com. Keep up with the latest motorsports news every day on Race Chaser Online. The Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com. A member of the Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week for more great motorsports programming right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.